Tactics Ogre Let Us Cling Together is a PSP remake of the Japanese exclusive Tactics Ogre released on the Super Famicom in 1995. This is one SRPG that I've been wanting to play for years. A few years ago, I had my first taste of the series with Ogre Battle March of the Black Queen. Let's just say I had a few issues with it and my motivation to play the other games in the series was now gone. Fast forward to 2022 and a remaster of the PSP remake titled Tactics Ogre Reborn was born. This one is a very meaty remaster with loads of changes that both enhances the original experience and also changes up the gameplay significantly. For a game to be remade and remastered twice, it's gotta be something pretty special, right? It is, and it didn't take long to realize how amazing Tactics Ogre Reborn really is. This is a top-shelf strategy RPG and one of the best I've played of the genre. For those who like tactical, story-driven SRPGs like Final Fantasy Tactics, look no further. This should be your next stop. Before we get into it, if you enjoyed this review, it would help me out a lot if you hit that like button and also subbed for more RPG content coming soon. Also, a review code for this game was provided by the publishers and all footage that you see was taken from the PS5 version of the game. What did you think of Tactics Ogre Reborn? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, let's get into it. Tactics Ogre Reborn takes place on the Isles of Valeria following the death of its king. The problem is, he didn't name a successor, and this led to a civil war between the Backroom, Golgostani and Wellister groups. Pretty rookie era for a king if you ask me. You play the role of Denham, a young Wellister from the town of Goliath who, with his sister and friend, joined the Wellister resistance. This political tale can be difficult to get your head around, which can often be an issue with this sort of setting. There are many terms, factions, alliances, histories, countries, and characters to keep track of, leading me to do a lot of external research. Now, there are in-game character bios, and this did help out a little bit, but you're not able to refer to them during a scene, which is something that I frequently needed. I mean, characters constantly come and go, and there are many disposable enemies that just pop in, only to die at the end of the mission. There are even a few points when an enemy attacked me wanting revenge. I'm like, wait, do I know you? Did I already beat you? I could sure use a character bio here. Tactics Ogre's storytelling is non-linear. There are 4 chapters and the storyline will branch depending on your decisions during key scenes. These decisions will put you on either a lawful, chaotic or neutral route. These choices will not only have a huge impact on following events, but will also dictate which characters you can recruit to your side, and there are loads that can be recruited, most of which are easily missable. The story and the writing in Tactics Ogre is excellent, and I think a great indicator of this is how hard some of the decisions are to make. At every point, I was questioning my choices and I really wanted to take it back a step and see how other paths would have played out. Luckily, once you finish the game, you can go back to key points in the plot and make the alternate choices without playing through the entire story again.
Ours is to follow orders. I swore an oath before the Duke, before the realm.
You'd call such bloodshed service? Since when have we used our kinsmen's lives as leverage?
Tactics Ogre's excellent writing is supported by some outstanding voice acting that really brings each character to life, adding weight to their convictions. The music is also sensational. Original composer Hitoshi Sakamoto returns with a fully re-recorded soundtrack with a live orchestra. This is complemented by a great art style. I love the character designs shown through the portraits, but unfortunately the sprites and environments have not seen the enhancements they so badly deserve. They are all so generic looking, with most of the main character sprites void of any significant unique characteristics. These sprites also don't match the portraits. Often, the hair color and clothing look different, and this occasionally makes it hard to identify who is who. These sprites are clearly stuck in the 90s, and this was one of my biggest issues with the game. Sharper, more detailed sprites could have taken this already excellent remaster to the next level. Tactics Ogre Reborn is a grid-based strategy RPG not unlike Final Fantasy Tactics. You choose from a range of characters, select a starting position for them, then face off against the enemy forces. There are only 2 different types of winning conditions. Either defeat everybody on the map or eliminate the leader, which will end the battle regardless of who else is remaining. These leaders are usually super powerful, capable of killing a unit in a single attack. Often, the only way I would get through a battle alive would be to try and focus fire the target and end the battle as quickly as possible. So, how do things work here? Characters can move through the map based on their movement stat and then either attack or use a skill or magic spell that consumes TP. There are a decent amount of classes too, and finding the right mix and maximizing their effectiveness is crucial. Not all classes are created equal though, and there has been some significant rebalancing over the different versions of the game. The Archer, for instance, used to be considered OP, but I could not find any value from them in Reborn. They only dish out insignificant damage against most unit types, and I felt better off going with another mage. One of the most significant new additions in Reborn is buff cards, and this is an absolute game changer. There are 4 types of cards that randomly generate over the battlefield, and these buffs last for the remainder of the battle. These cards will either increase a character's physical attack power, magical attack power, critical hit rate, or increase the chance of a skill activating. Each character can activate 4 of these at a time, and this can absolutely change the tides of battle. It gives you a lot more to think about too. For instance, rather than attacking an enemy on your turn, it may be more beneficial in the long run to activate a physical attack card for your character. OG Tactics Ogre purists may not like this, but I really enjoyed this addition, even if it was very random and could just as easily benefit the enemy. And that's the gist of the combat system. There are many other little mechanics to get your head around, some of which I didn't really pay attention to, such as certain elemental classes performing better in different weather conditions. There is a half-decent tutorial section in the menu which I found helpful, but I still ended up using internet guides to learn the ins and outs of all the mechanics. If you're after an easygoing, carefree experience where you can kick up your feet and casually stroll through, Tactics Ogre is not the game for you. It is hard, and this difficulty creates some amazing battles. The random battles of old are now replaced by the ability to train your characters at towns or castles. You are going to want to do this before major plot battles because these can be very unforgiving. But there is only so much grinding you can do. Reborn features a brand new level cap system which prevents your characters from increasing their level beyond a predetermined level based on story progression. I really hated this. At one point I was at the level 19 cap for about 6 main missions, and this meant that there were hours without any character progression at all. At times, battles just felt pointless. Beating mission after mission and seeing my characters receive no EXP at all, like this 18,403 wasted EXP, just hurts. I understand that they did this to keep the game balanced, but RPGs are my jam. I should be able to grind my way out of incompetence. Your team will be made up of Denim plus up to 11 other units. These units will be either story characters, generic characters hired from town stores, or monsters captured during battle. I was happy to see that characters don't permanently die after getting KO'd in battle, particularly since most of the bosses can one-hit KO you. A character is only permanently killed if they're left KO'd for 3 turns or pushed off the edge. This is easy to prevent though, since at any time you can use the chariot system to go back in time and replay your moves. I know what you're thinking, and the answer is yes. Yes, it can absolutely be abused. If an attack misses, for instance, you can just go back in time and try again from a different grid square where it will probably be successful. Initially, I felt this was a pretty cheap mechanic, but eventually came to accept it as a necessary mechanic in a very difficult game. If you don't like spending time in menus making many tiny little changes to a large amount of characters, then you're going to have a problem here. In fact, you're going to have a problem with the entire genre. After each battle, I welcomed the chance to hit the shops and menus and tweak my skills, craft more powerful equipment, adjust my classes, and just address small weaknesses that I identified in my party from the previous battle. For instance, at one point I realized I didn't have enough healing potential in my party, so I tweaked my room fencer's skills and equipment to be more of a ranged healer as opposed to the close range fighter that he was. There is a lot to think about and a lot that you can do. For such an elaborate system with a load of mechanics and stats to consider, everything worked pretty well, and there was almost always enough information provided to help me make informed decisions. Something that I didn't like was the icons used to represent each class. There are a lot of classes and many look similar and do not clearly associate with what they actually are. This caused me to buy equipment thinking a certain class could equip it, only to realize I mixed it up with another class who had a very similar looking icon. If they're not going to update the icons here, then at least having the class names under these icons would have helped me out big time. I went into Tactics Ogre Reborn expecting a decent strategy RPG, but it turns out it scratched my itch for a meaty, challenging SRPG far harder than I expected it to. If you're a fan of the genre, playing Tactics Ogre Reborn is an absolute no-brainer. It goes down as one of my favourites in the genre and should be the next SRPG that you play. The story is awesome and full of many choices that will take you down different narrative paths. The combat is highly addictive and presents many challenging battles that will keep you on your toes at all times. And while Tactics Ogre Reborn is only a remaster, in many ways it feels like a remake with loads of brand new additions that enhances the Tactics Ogre experience. The level cap, however, was the only new feature that I did not like. It prevented me from making any sort of character progression for lengthy periods of time, and this is something that RPGs should not do. Then there's the dated sprite work. Everything else looks and feels so modern except for these original sprites. Square Enix gets the high five from me for a very successful remaster. They have just been on fire lately, and my fingers are crossed that Final Fantasy Tactics is next on Square's extensive list of classic revivals. What did you think of Tactics Ogre Reborn? Do you agree with what I said? Let me know in the comments below. This was Hellfire RPGs, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, hit like and sub for more RPG content coming soon. See you next time.